welcome back, and today I am going to give you questions based on activities in chapter 1 chemical reactions and equations. So you go through all the activities from 1.1 to 1.11 and note down the observations. So let's start. Activity 1.1 Burning of magnesium. Observation: the magnesium ribbon burns with a dazzling white flame and changes into a white powder. This powder is magnesium oxide. It is formed due to the reaction between magnesium and oxygen present in the air. Reaction: 2Mg plus O2 on heating gives 2MgO. Activity 1.2 Potassium iodide solution is added to lead nitrate solution. Observation: when potassium iodide solution is added to lead nitrate solution, a yellow insoluble precipitate of lead iodide and an aqueous solution of potassium nitrate is formed. The reaction: PbNO3 2 aqueous 2Ki aqueous gives PbI2 solid yellow precipitate plus 2KNO3 aqueous. Activity 1.3 What happens when hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid is added to zinc granules? Observation: zinc metal reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid to form zinc chloride or zinc sulfate in case sulfuric acid is added. And hydrogen gas. Bubbles of hydrogen gas is observed around zinc granules. The conical flux in which the reaction was carried out becomes hot, indicating that the reaction is exothermic. So the reaction is Zn plus 2HCl gives you ZnCl2 plus H2 plus heat. Then if you add sulfuric acid, your reaction will be Zn plus H2SO4. This gives ZnSO4 plus H2 plus heat. So that was activity 1.3. Now go through activity 1.4. What happens when water is slowly added to calcium oxide or quicklime in a beaker? Observation: calcium oxide reacts vigorously with water to produce calcium hydroxide, slack-lime, releasing a large amount of heat. CaO plus H2, CaOH plus heat. So this is a combination reaction as calcium oxide and water combine to form a single product, calcium hydroxide. Reaction is also an exothermic reaction. Activity 1.5. So what happens when ferrous sulfate crystals are heated? Observation: the green color of the ferrous sulfate crystal changes. Ferrous sulfate crystals lose water and decomposes to ferric oxide, which is brownish black in color, sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. The reaction: 2FeSO4 when heated, Fe2O3 plus SO2 plus SO3. So this is a decomposition reaction since a single reactant breaks down to give simpler products. Activity 1.6. What happens when lead nitrate powder is heated? Observation: emission of brown fumes is observed, which is of nitrogen dioxide. Lead nitrate decomposes into lead oxide, nitrogen dioxide, and oxygen. The reaction is 2PbNO3 2. When heated, 2PbO plus 4NO2 plus O2. So this is a thermal decomposition reaction, as the decomposition reaction is carried out by heating. So this was your activity 1.6. Activity 1.7, electrolysis of water. So activity 1.7, electrolysis of water. Observation: we observe the formation of bubbles at both the electrodes. These bubbles displaced water in the test tube. Number 2, these bubbles indicates that gases have evolved. These gases are tested by bringing a burning candle. Number 3, the gas collected at cathode catches fire and burns with a popping sound when a burning candle was brought close to the mouth of the test tube. This indicates hydrogen gas. Number 4, when a burning candle was brought close to the mouth of the test tube at anode, the candle burns brightly, which indicates oxygen gas. Number 5, one important observation is that the volume of hydrogen gas collected is twice the volume of oxygen. Now some important points to be noted. Number 1 is electrolysis. Electro means electricity and lysis means breakdown. So electrolysis of water means breakdown or decomposition of water into its constituent element, that is hydrogen and oxygen gas, due to the passage of electric current. Number 2, reason for adding few drops of dilute sulfuric acid to the water. Now water is a poor conductor of electricity. To increase the conductivity of water, a few drops of dilute sulfuric acid was added to the water. Activity 1.8. Activity 1.8. What happens when silver chloride is kept in sunlight? Observation: the white silver chloride turns grey in sunlight due to the decomposition of silver chloride into silver and chlorine by light. 2AgCl in the presence of sunlight, 2Ag plus Cl2. Like silver chloride, silver bromide behaves in the same way. 2AgBr in the presence of sunlight, 2Ag plus Br2. So these reactions are used in black and white photography. These two reactions are decomposition reaction, and also these are endothermic reactions. So this was all about activity 1.8. Just move on to page 10. Carry out the following activity. Take about 2 gram barium hydroxide in a test tube. Add 1 gram of ammonium chloride and mix with the help of a glass rod. Touch the bottom of the test tube with your palm. What do you feel? Is this an exothermic or endothermic reaction? Note down the observation of the activity on page 10. The test tube becomes cold. During the reaction, heat is absorbed. The reaction is endothermic. BaOH2 plus 2 NH4Cl plus BaCl2 plus 2 NH3 plus 2H2O, that is barium hydroxide plus ammonium chloride, barium chloride plus ammonia plus water. So this is also a double displacement reaction. Activity 1.9. What happens when iron nails are immersed in copper sulfate solution for about 20 minutes? Why does the iron nail becomes brownish in color and the blue color of copper sulfate solution fades? Observation: when iron nails are immersed in copper sulfate solution, a displacement reaction takes place. Copper is removed from copper sulfate by more reactive iron and forms ferrous sulfate or iron sulfate, and copper is deposited. So iron nail becomes brownish as copper deposits on it. The blue color of the solution appears to fade because the solution left in the test tube is ferrous sulfate, which is light green in color compared to the dark color of copper sulfate. Fe plus CuSO4, FeSO4 plus Cu. So this was your activity 1.9. Activity 1.10. What happens when 3 ml of sodium sulfate solution is added to 3 ml of barium chloride solution? Observation: when 3 ml of sodium sulfate solution is added to 3 ml of barium chloride solution, a white precipitate of barium sulfate is formed by the reaction of sulfate and barium. The other product is sodium chloride, which remains in the solution. This is a double displacement reaction. The reaction is Na2SO4 plus BaCl2. This gives BaSO4 plus 2NaCl. So here barium sulfate forms a white precipitate. So this was your activity 1.10. So after activity 1.10, you can see here on page 12, recall activity 1.2, where you have mixed the solution of lead nitrate and potassium iodide. So number one question is, what was the color of the precipitate from? Can you name the compound precipitate? So the color of the precipitate was yellow. And can you name the compound precipitated? The compound precipitated was lead iodide. Write the balanced chemical equation for this reaction. So you can refer that activity 1.2, which is already done. Then number 3, is this also a double displacement reaction? Yes, it is a double displacement reaction. Activity 1.11. What happens when 1 gram copper powder is heated in a china dish? Observation: when 1 gram copper powder is heated in a china dish, the surface of copper powder becomes coated with black copper oxide. This is because oxygen is added to copper and copper oxide is formed. The reaction is 2Cu plus O2 on heating 2CuO. So this is an oxidation reaction because oxygen is added to copper powder. This is also a combination reaction and also an endothermic reaction. So this was your activity 1.11.